I'm Jacob Feldman, and I am in the second year of my master's in saxophone literature and pedagogy.
Well, welcome to the podcast, Jacob. And we have an exciting concert coming up. A lot of exciting stuff going on with you, right? So you just won something major that we'll talk about a little bit later. But first, we have your concerto concert is coming up. You're one of the ones who won the concerto competition, right? So talk a little bit about what you're going to be playing.
Yeah, so I'm super lucky that I have the chance to play with the orchestra. I'm going to be doing Nigel Westlake's Spirit of the Wild. It's an oboe concerto originally. But yeah, so I'll be bringing it to the soprano saxophone, and we'll see how it goes with the orchestra. Should be very cool.
So did you pick that rep?
Yeah. I this piece was one that I had a friend, actually an oboist friend, who showed it to me a few years ago. I don't know. It immediately kind of struck me, and I was so interested in playing it. And actually, that oboe friend, her fiance is a good friend of mine, saxophone player. He was originally he was like, I'm going to do it. I'm going to do a transcription of it and perform it. And I was like, please do it so that I don't have to. And then I'll just take it from you. And then he did not. He was moving, so valid. But yeah, I don't know. Over a summer, I think I just put it all into some software, transposed it up a step, and went for it. But yeah, something I don't know, just kind of a passion project for me, and I'm fortunate that it's been something that has done well. Seemingly, people seem to be interested in it and enjoy it, and it's a lot of fun.
Yeah, was this your first time ever doing something like that, like taking a piece for something else and transposing it?
Yeah, kind of. For solo, definitely. I also did kind of, again, I take minimal credit. My quartet will know well. We've been playing this Debussy piano piece for a saxophone quartet. And again, I take little credit because there's a recording of a French saxophone quartet, incredibly good. They have a recording of it on one of their CDs, but they don't publish the arrangement. And so I messaged them, try to get the arrangement. No response. They read it. They read the message. They did not respond.
It says it shows like
it shows the read. I've been ghosted. But yeah, so I just decided that I would try to use that recording along with the piano score, and I kind of recreated to the best of my ability. So I'm sure it's not perfect to what they do, but I think again they did most of the hard work of doing the orchestrating and whatnot. But I put it in the software, did that, and then our quartet's been playing that now for almost a year, getting closer to a year, doing it on the competitions, doing it for concerts. It seems like people enjoy it. So I did that first, and then I did this oboe concerto, and then I've been working on a few more that I think are working well. Again, saxophone is we kind of live in this, all of our stuff is so new since the instrument's so new. So we like to steal things. You
have to steal. Yeah.
Trying to get some older stuff, and then as well as some of the newer stuff that I think works really well.
Yeah, it's like mandolin players. Like if you go, it's like so much like violin rep, or So how did that process go? You said you put in software. So did you take the just your solo piece and put it in, or did you have to do it for the whole orchestra? Or
thank goodness, not everybody's parts. I trust that they'll figure that out. Fortunately, pretty much I bought the oboe part. So actually, I bought the piano reduction along with the oboe part. That he has, the composer Nigel Westlake. He's alive, fortunately. This piece was just written, 8-9 years ago, 2016. So it's fairly new. He's an Australian composer. He's been really great through the process too.
So you've actually reached out?
Fortunately.
Nice.
So I figured, through support of my mentors and whatnot, to just reach out. What is the worst that could happen?
Composers we're going to play your concerto. That's a good thing.
You'd think. And so, but yeah, I've reached out to him and asked, do you think that this would work for soprano? And he was like, I always thought it could. Go for it. Send me a recording when you get one. Really kind. And he gave me some really kind words after I sent him the video that I got from the finals performance here.
So you had the piano parts and then the oboe parts.
Yes.
And you took both of these and you put them into software?
I really only did the oboe part because again, I think the pianists, I don't think they super care whether it's transposing or not. And so, I mean, basically then they don't have to do any of the transposing work themselves. And all I did, I just kind of input the oboe part into MuseScore. It's free. It works well for me. And I put it in MuseScore, bumped it up one step after adjusting some of the like enharmonic stuff to I tried to make it as easy to read as possible, just based on enharmonics and whatnot. Tried to make it look nice. And I think that's worked well. So I'm actually working with the composer to try to publish that.
Oh,
just
nice.
the saxophone part, because that's really all you need to modify. Like there's the piano reduction, of course. There's a chamber orchestra version, which is solo, oboe, saxophone, whatever, string quartet, double bass, and piano, which I'm going to do on my recital coming up in April. And then the orchestra version, of course. But I don't think that anybody really cares about the transposition thing other than the solo player. So
Okay.
So we're just going to try to publish that and then sell it. Hopefully, I think people will play it.
Cool. Yeah. Were there any times where like it's like the fingering just doesn't work on the saxophone, where it's like, oh, okay, this like I'm going to have to actually change? Did you have to change any of the notes?
Nothing like normal got modified, I would say. I mean, it doesn't feel very good on saxophone, some of it, but I would say to my oboist friends, I think it's infinitely worse on the oboe. Like oboe, I don't, technically wise, it's not set up maybe as well to just fly around the keys so much as it is for us. So I think we have it lucky in that regard. But yeah, some of the stuff doesn't lay so well. And in some of the stuff, I had to modify a little bit because he asks for multiphonics a couple of times. And oboe multiphonics are very different to our multiphonics. Sometimes, in some ways, not. Theirs are so like digital, almost computery. And some of ours kind of match that, but not exactly. But he doesn't really specify too much. He just kind of is like, go cadenza using multiphonics. So I tried my best to kind of make something work in that way.
Yeah, and what was it like? So you decided to apply or audition, I guess, for this concerto competition. So usually when you think of concertos, you think of like really these well-established things. What was it like? Did you have to approach the maestro and say this is it's never been done before, or how did that work?
I have not really talked with him much yet. Still, I trust. I've talked with the people ordering the music and whatnot, so hopefully that's coming along. But yeah, you're definitely right in that. Yeah, I would say there are definitely pieces out there that have been around for a long time that function really well and like people love competitively or otherwise. And again, kind of going what we were saying earlier with saxophone, it's just we don't have as much repertoire, period, as much repertoire that lives in that kind of world that's like really competitive against, again, strings and all those. Like, fortunately here we don't have to compete against the strings, which I'm not mad about. But finding those pieces that can compete against flute and clarinet and, all these massive works that get played all the time. But yeah, I don't know. I think it was a matter of, I think it's impressive. I really enjoy it. I think hopefully people will enjoy it as well. And I think just, it really depends on the repertoire that you kind of pick. And I think just making it work for you, making it clear that you enjoy it. I think like last year I played something similar where it was like, there's technical difficulty, there's musical difficulty, but it's not, I don't know that it's going to compete against a Tchaikovsky violin concerto maybe, but I think that it does what we can well. I think it shows off the instrument well, and our musicianship. And
it must be pretty good because you won.
I try my best.
Yeah.
I like the piece. Yeah, I think it works well.
So what is the piece? Can you talk a little bit about like what is it? What does it sound like?
Yeah, it's called Spirit of the Wild. I think he was inspired by a trip to Africa. Like I think it was like a matter of like seeing like animals and all these different things like out in wilderness kind of thing. But it's relatively tonal. I think it mostly centers around A, like concert A, or my B. Overall, of course, there's like, it's not like just the most diatonic major nice thing in the world, but I think it like totally is accessible on an ear level. And that's why I think part of the reason why maybe it's found success in places that I wasn't quite expecting, maybe with some people not quite as used to contemporary stuff, because it's definitely contemporary, again, written not that long ago. It's a little wild, but I think, no pun intended, but I think that it sounds pretty accessible. And again, I think with the orchestra too, it's going to be extra special. If you go listen to, there's a wonderful recording done by Diana Doherty. She's an Australian oboist. It was written for her along with the Sydney Symphony. That's kind of my the one that was in my ear initially. I use it. I listen to it all the time. She's crazy. So good.
Yeah. Are there any animal sounds? You said it's kind of about the or is it more or less just encompassing that overall feeling of the wild?
Yeah, I think maybe more so the latter, of just kind of this expansive thing, landscape to me. The opening is very just this expansive thing where you're kind of sitting out on all these things, and then little interjections of with long notes and then little interjections. So maybe there's you could kind of pull some imagery out of that. And then again, maybe some of the multiphonics, more raucous things kind of feels, a little energized, maybe a little animalistic, ferocious, that kind of thing.
Yeah. Does it paint the wild in a grand, beautiful light, or is it more of a scary light? Because the wild animals can be beautiful, or they can be really scary.
Very fair. Yeah, I think to me it's overall, I think, much beauty. And then even in the more quick bits, aggressive, that kind of thing, I think it's still, I don't know. To me, it's so pretty. I like all of it. It's wonderful.
Yeah. What's been the hardest part so far of learning it?
There's a lot of notes. There's so many notes. And I've been thinking about that a lot as I was working to memorize it for this past weekend. Fortunately, a lot of it, there's so many notes that I'm just practicing on all of it. And fortunately, my muscle memory kind of takes care of some of that. But yeah, there's the first movement. So it's split into 4 movements. It's about 22 minutes or so. Mm-hmm. First movement, the opening is nice and long notes for a little bit, and then it just kind of goes for the rest of the movement. The second movement, similar, has a nice opening, and then kind of goes for the rest of the movement. Third movement, the one time that we kind of stray away, it's nice lyrical, it's slower, and that's the only time where we don't have a ton of notes. And then the fourth movement is pretty much you're going all the way to the end. So there's a lot of notes, and again, it doesn't all lay so great. Again, I don't know. I'm sure that when he was composing it for oboe, I'm not sure. Maybe he was thinking about how well it would lay, but for them, I think it's just challenging. For us, obviously, he wasn't thinking about it, and it does not feel great all the time, but it's not too terrible.
Okay, and we're as we're filming this, we're about a month and a week out, mm-hmm. something like that, right? So what does your practice routine look like? Because I know you have a lot of other stuff going on in your life, right? It's not just this is the only thing going on.
I wish it was.
Yeah.
I think, I'm definitely preparing for recital, preparing for, again, my quartet's doing a few national competitions coming up. So we leave, I don't know what day it is right now. It's Wednesday. So we leave tomorrow. To go to Minnesota for a competition. And it's okay, I have to have all that music learned. So it's really a matter of priority, of course, but within that, trying to keep everything feeling as comfortable as possible until I can really put my focus on it. So fortunately, again, I had to memorize it for this past weekend. So I feel pretty good about it in terms of how it's going in here. It's going okay. I think there's plenty of room for improvement always. So I think for me, it's a matter of, there's probably a few spots that I'm I should just be hitting those every day, every other day at least, of just making sure they stay comfortable in there. I can make sure that we're getting as many clean repetitions as possible. And then as we get closer, I have a recital again, a couple weeks before the performance with UTSO. So it's a matter of, okay, well, I'm playing that on there, so at least that I've learned that. Yeah. It's a matter of, but of course, getting it even stronger along with the other repertoire I have. It's a tough balance. It's a tough balance, but I think that it's gratifying, and I think that there's enough time, and that's what I need to always remind myself, is there's enough time. And it's going to be okay. So
awesome. And let's talk about this last weekend. So you won a major competition this last weekend. So talk a little bit about that.
Sure. Yeah. I went to Conroe, Texas, just north of Houston. There's a competition called the Young Texas Artist Competition. It's split into 4 divisions, I believe. So the division I was in was woodwinds, brass, percussion, harp, and guitar. Really just
Wow.
the conglomerate the other one is strings, the other one is voice, and the other one is piano. So those are just their own little thing, and then we get everything else.
Yeah.
But again, I didn't have to compete against strings or piano or voice, which I don't mind. Let them have their thing. But it was great. I think there was 14 of us that went in the so we submit a preliminary video thing, and then we go if we get invited to the live round. I think they invited 16 people to the live round, which is like a semifinal. I think 2 people ended up dropping. So there was 14 of us there that we played on Thursday morning and afternoon of last week. And yeah, I found out later they advanced 2 of us to the final round. From that, it was me and a harp player. And yeah, we were
That's
able
weird
to
competition.
It's
a saxophonist and a harpist.
Again, it's like a soprano saxophone playing an oboe piece that's not like an old oboe piece, and then you have a harp player playing, one of their huge concertos. But yeah, so it was wonderful. So I got to end up going back on Saturday afternoon, playing Saturday evening, and I drove back on Saturday night, which was special. A lot of driving this past week.
Did you just kind of float back after winning?
It was nice. My dad came with me on that second one, so it was very nice to not have to drive all of it. And yeah, I was just kind of riding it out, trying to go get some rest because yeah, it was tiring, but it was very gratifying. The competition was wonderful, easy enough, pretty much just show up, play your thing, and you can head out. And so again, for the finals, all 8 of us were there, from 2 from each category. And we got to, I don't know, hang out, talk for a while. We did some pictures. They sent us some like professional pictures for free. He was like, you can use them for literally anything you want. And very kind. It was amazing. So that was very cool. I've never won a thing before, solo competition before, like external solo competition. So it's, it's not the end all be all, but it's nice to know that the work that you've done is being recognized in some way. Satisfying.
Yeah, because you've done a lot of stuff, but it's a lot with the Zed.
Yeah.
Right? So what is it like now that, you're still doing that stuff, but like this semester seems to be like a solo is kind of a theme.
Yeah.
Right? The concerto, your recital, and the competition.
Definitely. Yeah. I've always wanted to push myself to be a little bit more in the solo endeavor. I think that I love chamber music. I love playing in quartet. And I think I've been fortunate to do a lot of that up to this point. So like in undergrad, again, I had a couple of wonderful quartets that I played with. Particularly, I think because of COVID as well, being in the middle of that degree, we were able to continue playing. Like we all kind of like lived in our little bubble together. So, and I wasn't really able to work with pianists or anything or perform recitals in that way. So I think I was really fortunate that I got to experience like continuing to play music, live music with people. And so I kind of just ended up doing a lot of chamber music that way. And then I think obviously that's continued here. I've been really lucky to work with Zed and whatnot, doing all the competitions, keeping busy, all that thing. And I think as well as that, in my master's especially, it's like I want to make sure that I'm pushing myself as a soloist, doing competitions. To me, competition are not the end all be all. I enjoy them as a way to push me to continue getting better. And yeah, I think it's been really gratifying, and I enjoy it.
Yeah, when did you like first hear about Zed? Like how did you join Zed, and what was that whole process like?
Yeah, it was we ended up getting a little bit slower of a start. We ended up forming, I think, at the end of last October.
So that's when Zed formed?
Yes.
Oh, I thought it had been around for a while.
No, yeah. So we started, it was just one school year ago fall. If I'm getting my years wrong, I apologize.
Okay, yeah.
But yeah, so we ended up forming, it was just, there's 4 of us here. So again, they're all UT students or alum. One of our members has graduated, but he is always around in the Austin area, he's teaching and whatnot. So the 4 of us came together. We were able to do it. We had aligned goals and missions. I think that was really helpful. And so even though we got maybe a little bit later of a start than one would hope, I think that we did the work that we needed to do to kind of just keep on. And I think, it's worked out really well.
So like, what was the motivation to coming together? Was there like a moment when you said, there's something here?
You have 4 people that, individually are wonderful, and then you throw it together, and I think that like the combination of that becomes even greater. I think that we recognize that that worked out well for us. Like four of us strong players have a lot of experience doing chamber music, and then I think it was, okay, what do we want to do? We want to try to do outreach. So again, we played a couple of concerts in New Orleans like last month. So it's like doing stuff like that where we're playing for people, doing competitions again, which we've done a lot of, and just like finding success in like really high level music making, I think has been really gratifying. I'm very lucky to work with all of them.
Yeah, I just can't believe it's so new. You're like a founding member because you guys have been so successful.
We do our best. We do our best. We try to do the work, and if things happen, things happen. It's been great.
Was there like what was like your first big accomplishments with Zed?
It's a good question. I suppose, yeah. I mean, we formed in August. We ended up doing a few competitions last year. This past school year. Again, we did this one in New Orleans called the NOLA Chamber Fest, and we got second there. I think that again kind of helped give us resources and connections to people, which ended up again resulting in us going back just last month to do a few different concerts, outreach gigs. We did ended up doing masterclass and performances as a result of this. Lots of connections that were made through competitions. So we did that one, and then we did the fish off competition last year. We got second there as well, which is. That competition's kind of like it's a big one in my brain, and it's like
a big one, not just in your brain, in a lot of people's brains.
So it's really satisfying to go and again see that the work that you've done is recognized and that people enjoy what you do. It's really, really, makes us feel good about all the work that we've put in, but it's cool that we get to share our music with people and people connect with it.
Yeah. Now, did all four of you have the same teacher?
Yeah, I mean, here, definitely. So I think one of them is an undergrad, our Barry player. He's finishing up his undergrad this year. But the rest of us all did grad school here at UT. So all of us work with Dr. Stephen Page, the best mentor you can have. He gave us all the support and guidance, and it's clearly worked out well. So
yeah, how did he guide a quartets? Because I think of him as like more solo,
Sure.
one-on-one applied lessons. So
yeah.
how did he do that?
So again, I think definitely we benefit from the one-on-one teaching, the lessons, and what you're talking about, of course, because I think he's really good at making you feel that you have your own agency and self-efficacy, and making all these decisions, and really deeply understanding what you're doing, being able to control all of these things in such a way that you can kind of accomplish what you want musically. So I think all of us have that individual mindset maybe. And then again, you put us together, and then he was on sabbatical this past year, when we were doing a lot of our stuff. But he was still around, and so he
still answered the emails.
Again, yeah. I mean, he showed up to Fish Off for the awards. He didn't even see us play, but because he booked that ticket. Like once he found out we advanced, he like booked that flight immediately, and the fastest he got there. So he got to see our award ceremony. It was like.
Did you see when they announced you as winners?
Oh, yeah. Nice. So it was like we look over in the crowd and we're like, "What are you doing?" It was incredible, amazing, such a good moment for us. But him and then Professor Wong, Calvin Wong, he's currently here as well. But he was the sabbatical replacement last spring, and so both of them would give us coachings pretty weekly-ish. Professor Wong was definitely more weekly, and then again, Dr. Page, when he had the time, would come in and help. So it was lovely to work with them in like a group context as well, because they can hear things that we can't. When we're playing here, they can listen to balance, they can listen to are we matching all these different style and articulation dynamics, all this stuff. So really helpful.
And you said this weekend you're going to Minnesota?
Yeah, we're going to Minneapolis to go. Compete at the MTNA National Chamber Music Competition, which is a cool one. I've never been to the in-person one. I did it online, but during COVID. Yeah. But I've never done the in-person one, and I've never been to Minnesota beyond the airport. So okay. I'm excited. Again, this is Dr. Page's undergrad stomping grounds too. So he's given us some recommendations of things to do, places to go, food to eat. That should be very cool. And then the next weekend after that, we're going to Columbia, Missouri. Okay. And we have the Plowman Chamber Music Competition there, and then a break for a little bit. So hopefully.
What's it like traveling with them? Is it all talk about saxophone, or is it no talk about saxophone?
Plenty of talk about saxophone. I don't think it's avoidable. As you know, it's a good thing we love it because we talk about it a lot. But you know, I think it works well. Again, we've done a lot of traveling at this point for even only being really a thing for a year and a half or so. We've done a lot of road trips. We've done a lot of flying. I think at this point we kind of know how we work. Yeah.
So how do you practice on the road? Because can you do 4 saxophones just in a hotel room, or is that like piss off the people?
I think that would be unwise, maybe. But you know, yeah, we can try to make it work in whatever way we can. I think generally speaking, when we've been on the road, we either are like there to do a performance or go to a conference or competition, and generally they have space for that.
Okay.
Hopefully. So I think for MTNA, for example, we get a warm-up slot. We have like an hour warm-up slot on Friday. So we play in the afternoon on Friday.
That's not much, though.
Considering
there's travel and all that.
Yeah, so I think we get in Thursday evening. We'll have Wednesday morning to kind of, you know, loiter around to do whatever. And then we have that 1 hour. And then we play on Saturday morning, I think. So, you know, we make do as best as possible. When you have that warm-up time, obviously make the most out of it. If we have the ability to find other space. So again, it's right next to the University of Minnesota. And so we might
into those practice
we might
rooms,
try to see, we might try to utilize our resources and see if we can get into there if we need extra time. Of course, you hope that you've done as much work as possible before you get there. And I think, yeah, like if we had 0 rehearsal time from right now until we were going on stage on Saturday, I think we would still be okay. Of course, it's ideal if we can get as much, you know, playing time together as possible.
Yeah, and Dr. Page went there to the
He
university?
did, yeah, he did his undergrad there.
He's got to pull some strings for you. Come on, you need a practice room.
He said he might have a card still.
Okay,
He said he might have a little key card to get us into a practice room. We'll see. But yeah, I mean, obviously he also knows Professor there. We know some of the students there. So we'll see. We might not need it.
Yeah.
Maybe we'll just, you know, allow ourselves to enjoy the city.
Yeah. And you should. It's absolutely gorgeous. It'll still be a little bit cold.
Yeah,
but it'll be beautiful.
We looked and it looked like it's jumping around a little bit, but overall just chilly, but it should be okay.
All right. So last question. You perform so much for us students. Like I think a lot of students would dream of doing all the performing that you do. What advice would you have for a Butler student? Maybe they're just entering undergrad, just entering masters. Like, how do they experience the success you have?
That's a thank you. I don't know about it. I don't know.
You really perform. I mean, and you've accomplished so amazing things and won such prominent awards and everything. It's incredible.
It's very kind. Yeah, thank you. It's really, I think when I've been happiest and found the most success, even if, you know, it's not always a numbers game necessarily, in terms of like accolades or whatever. But like when I've been the most satisfied with a performance, it's just like something I really believe in. I feel really confident in my performance, and it's like, I don't know, it almost sounds like maybe conceited to say or something, but like, I don't know, I just try to envision it as like a gift that I'm sharing with the audience. And it's like, again, if it's something that I really feel strongly about or believe in, it's like, you know, I would like to share this music with you. And I think that has been really enjoyable for me. Yeah, I think find out what works for you when you're getting ready to perform. Like I've been trying to figure out my new thing of like, what's my pre-performance routine, you know, just finding ways to feel confident and feel good about going into a performance. I think everybody's totally different, you know, everybody needs different things. So find what works for you. But yeah, I think overall, just go on stage, have fun. I think everybody says it, and I think it's easier said than done. But I think, you know, hopefully you've done the work up to this point that you need to feel good about what you're going to go do. Just go do it and let yourself have a good time. Don't be so caught up in like needing to be perfect, because I promise you I'll miss notes on April 26th.
Well, we can't wait. So we're a little more than a month away from this amazing concert and so many more stuff. When is your recital?
April 12th.
April 12th.
Yeah,
so like 2 weeks before the concerto competition.
Exactly. So I'll have another chance to perform that piece along with some other stuff and work with some friends across the Butler School. It should be great.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much for coming and sitting down.
Thank you so much for having me. It's been a pleasure.